Welcome to In This Body, the online event to support parents and caregivers with embodiment and staying regulated and connected, even when things get intense. And today I'm excited to have a wonderful speaker with me, Jenny Treurnich. I hope I said your name right.
It's enough. It's all good.
Yeah. Jenny is a mindset and embodiment coach and an energy healer. She helps women feel stuck, whether they're stuck in their work lives or sense of self. She helps them move beyond frustration and fear to claim the vibrant, purposeful lives they truly want. She works with both the conscious and the subconscious minds, as these need to be aligned for lasting change to occur, and helps to anchor these changes in the body via embodiment techniques. I am so excited to have you here, Jenny.
Thank you
In-
so much, Nadine, and for that beautiful introduction.
yeah, thank
And
you
I'm
as well.
really privileged to be here. And yeah, parents and children are very, very close to my heart.
Mm-mm. So tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Sure. I am essentially a mindset and embodiment coach, and I'm also an energy healer. And the embodiment piece in there is really, really important to me. And it's a big piece of my work because I find that, especially in these crazy times that we're in now, we're very disconnected from our bodies and running around like heads, like thoughts spinning. We're living in very overwhelming times generally, and things are happening very fast. And so taking that moment and reconnecting to the body and grounding into the body. And part of that is also feeling our emotions, being allowed to feel them and welcome them in, not stomp them down and bottle them. So feeling emotions, feeling into the body, being connected to the body. And then part of that is also the wisdom that comes from the body. Like our bodies are talking to us and telling us all these things. And if our head is constantly going busy with life, we're not actually hearing that. And then what happens is we ignore things and it turns into an illness that, could have been addressed earlier, or the body just needed some rest, or, you know, different nutrition or whatever it may be. But we just ignore the signs from our bodies. So embodiment is, I'm very passionate about it because it's quite a simple thing and it's so, so important. So
Mm,
yeah, that's some of what I do. And then I also, I know today is mostly about embodiment. And so just briefly, the other pieces that I do are very much aligning subconscious and conscious mind, because in our conscious mind, we can want to create all sorts of things and do and be, and we're holding on to these subconscious beliefs that are holding us back, that are going, you can't possibly do that. Like, who do you think you are? Or whatever they may be, those beliefs. So it's really looking at those, clearing those to then become aligned and then I call it sending a clear message to the field so that we can manifest the lives we want and be all that we can be. So essentially, that's what I do, is very much the alignment and using first the embodiment techniques. Where I actually start at the beginning of all this is nervous system regulation, which is part of the embodiment. Because when we do want to expand and create things or achieve things, that expansion can't happen unless we first feel safety in the body. So like nervous system regulation is becoming like a hot topic, or it's bandied around a lot, but it's actually such a simple and necessary starting place because we need to feel that safety and address that before we can have the expansion. So yeah.
Yeah, so true. And like I see a very big relationship between like you working with the subconscious part.
Yeah,
Like there's a great deal of the subconscious which lives in the physical memory in the body.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Nadine. Yeah, it's a lot of our subconscious is literally the wisdom that's held in our bodies
Mm,
that we tend to ignore. So the more we can tap into that, we're opening up a greater field of information that then can then come to us. And if we can model that for our children and teach them to tap into their bodies, there then not only would that help them feel safer in their bodies and more in tune with what's happening in their bodies, because also the teenage years are change like a time of great change in the body. So there's, the hormones and all the changes happening. That's a lot to deal with. And if there's also going to be some kind of denial or stuffing down of that or ignoring and just focusing elsewhere, that makes that whole process more difficult. So if we can model and teach our children to literally tap into the wisdom of their bodies, we're equipping them with more tools which will help them for the rest of their lives.
yes,
Yeah.
so true. And I love the way you frame it, the wisdom of the body. Yeah. Uh, we don't appreciate our physical body enough. Yeah. And it,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I think like it's something that we, up until now, like our social values and our like educational values, they don't tap into this treasure that we have in the physical body. It has been so focused on academics and uh, achievements of the mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that as as a species, we've gone through these changes throughout history, and at certain times in the past, we were very connected to the body and to that wisdom, and people were more in touch with the land, and more people worked on the land, and times were slower, natural rhythms were noticed, and yeah, nowadays, and certainly since the Industrial Revolution and all of that, I think a lot of that was cut off, and the focus became on like being a cog in a machine, and you've got to do the things, and it's very head-based and getting the work done. Um, and we've lost touch with a lot of that wisdom. So it's a sense of reconnecting to that.
Mm.
And certainly with the huge bloom in technology and all the things and the increased screen time and it's all of that is taking us out of our bodies and out of that wisdom and being in touch with what's really happening inside us.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Yeah. Uh, Anything you'd like to add around your story, or
Um,
around what you do, uh, and what?
sure.
Yeah.
I I've done a lot of different things. I have a science background. I started with an MSc in zoology actually, and I've always been deeply connected to nature. And then I've done a range of different things, and I've been an energy healer and had other healing modalities for a long time, for decades. But what I was also doing was I was working in editing and science writing. And it just took over my life, and I was on this hamster wheel and this stress and efforting and working nights and weekends and like at that stage I became very out of touch with my body because it was just too intense all the time. And I stopped and realized, what am I doing? And I actually can't carry on like this. And there were a few specific events that happened where I was like, this is not for me. Um, and when I decided to step away from that whole thing, essentially I stepped away from how I was earning most of my income. So it was scary. It was liberating and terrifying at the same time. And what I had to then do is develop these embodiment techniques and nervous system regulation techniques to help myself go through that process. And I'm also a mum. I've got a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old at the moment. But back then there were two teenagers. And so there was a lot going on, trying to, manage life and all the things. And I needed to support my own system. So I found through bringing in techniques from understanding things through both my science background originally and then also all the body work that I had done, because I also do craniosacral therapy and reflexology, Reiki, all the things, right? So with all of that knowledge, I then used that to settle my own system and to work through some of these because, like I said, you need the safety first before you can have the expansion and go create the new thing and do what's really calling you forward.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And I'm interested to hear more around those techniques. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Well, this talk particularly in the title, I mentioned 3 techniques. So I'm going to talk about 3 really simple embodiment techniques that parents can use for themselves, and they can also model that for their children, whether it's teens or even younger children. And a lot of the stuff around nervous system work and nervous system regulation is very much how we model the behavior for our children. So it's not so much adding, first of all, it's not about adding things to an already busy schedule. It's simple little things that you can do in the moment to just bring you back to that space. Because the last thing we want is here's a new to-do list, right? So it's very simple techniques to just integrate in during the day when you need them. And the second thing I wanted to highlight is how important it is to model that behavior. Because the best thing we can actually do for our children is to present with a regulated nervous system ourselves, rather than just trying to teach something. We in most things we model, and that's what they actually pick up. But with nervous system regulation, that's even more important, because if you're in an unregulated, a dysregulated state, but you're trying to help your children to regulate, that's not going to work at all. So yeah, it's very much. And also just to give ourselves grace.
Yeah.
We're facing a lot. We're living in busy times, and no one's going to get it right 100% of the time, and that's okay. So it's also allowing that grace and not trying to always do this perfectly, but having these tools available as something that can help
Mm.
and having that intention. And that's what sets us in that direction. So yeah, just to clarify it with that. Um, so the techniques themselves are quite deceptively simple, but actually very powerful. Sometimes we think something must be really complicated for to have a profound effect, but it's often the opposite. So the first technique, it's basically an exhalation reset. So it's breathing, and all you're doing, and you can do this anytime when you can just have a pause. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed or things are happening, just take that pause and you take a conscious breath. You breathe in slowly through the nose, and then you breathe a longer exhale through the mouth. And do that if you can 3 to 5 times. And sounds so simple, but it literally resets the body and allows that pause. Because what happens is also if you're stuck in the head loop, it takes you out of that and into the body. It's that deeper breath for you're taking in more oxygen, you focusing your attention on the body and on the breath. And actually it allows the whole body to soften. And what happens is our body actually gets that before our mind gets it. So it's not about thinking through this. It's allowing the body to soften. And the science behind it, if anyone wants to know that part, is so the two different phases of the nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, the rest and digest versus fight and flight. It literally, by taking that longer out breath, it sends a system to the nervous system that in this moment I'm safe. So what it's actually doing is switching us over into the parasympathetic, into the rest and digest. Because if you're in a deeply stressful, immediate situation, like a lion is chasing you, you're not going to breathe out longer than you breathe in. Is physically in the body, that's not going to happen. So by just extending your exhalation, it literally flips you into the rest and digest. And you can do it anytime. You can do it in the car with your kids. You can do it on the way to school. You can do it before a difficult conversation. And you don't have to go into any long explanation. You can just say, let's take a moment to breathe.
Mm.
And another thing that does is it creates that pause where we're not immediately going to a reaction. It gives time for a response rather than a reaction because you've taken that little pause, taken the deep breath, taken the longer exhale. So yeah, I don't know if you want to say anything on that.
Yeah.
That's the first technique. It's really simple.
It's like power is its simplicity because it's just available for you anytime. Like you can do it no matter what circumstances you are in. Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
it's such a powerful thing. And we've forgotten the power of the breath
mm,
as a society. And we're ventilating instead of breathing.
mm.
We're breathing from here up and just living. And also, why this is so powerful is I think a lot of people are living in a constant level of like a low stress level. We have moments of higher stress, but that low level of stress is like becomes a background, like a norm. And actually, it's not a norm. Like, so to take these breaths and to try and consciously, you're putting your consciousness on something else for a moment that's internal instead of just the reactive and the life. So, yeah, and it's an
Yeah.
easy thing to say to kids, like, let's take, like, stop and take a breath.
Mm,
And if you model that, start to model that. Or I'm going to take a deep breath with the right, not as in I'm taking a deep breath now, which can sound like the opposite of what we want to convey. But yeah, to employ this meaningfully, it's such a simple and powerful technique.
mm. And one thing I picked up on, it's you said bringing our attention inwards. Like
Yeah.
instead of like, okay, going scrolling through the phone or getting stimulated by something external to take
Yeah.
our attention off the stress, it's the breath that works.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the distractions are there to keep us
Mm,
distracted and away from our own power,
mm.
quite frankly. Um, Going inward. I'm going to go on to the second
Yeah.
technique. So it's also very, very simple. And it's simply dropping our awareness into the body. So, like I said earlier, many people were literally stuck in a head loop. And then from there, it goes, from that, we create situations which then create emotions. And then those emotions feed back into this head loop. And especially teenagers can get very, very stuck in that. There's a lot of things, there's peer pressure, there's all the things. So that loop can be quite like we need actually a pattern interrupt to snap out of that loop and again back into ourselves, into the body. So taking your awareness down into your body, with people that are more familiar with these kind of techniques, I usually speak about taking your awareness from your head and dropping it down the central line of your body. But if people are less familiar with embodiment and certainly teenagers and kids, a very, very simple place to start is with the feet. To literally say, can you feel your feet on the floor? And immediately it's you pattern interrupting that spin and you're taking the awareness into the body. So if you take the awareness straight to the feet, and everyone can kind of do this now and imagine your awareness in your feet and feel the ground underneath your feet. It doesn't matter if you're wearing shoes. Feel the ground under your feet. What do you feel under your feet? What do you feel inside your feet? And then take your awareness. And this also obviously helps with grounding. Because by taking the awareness to the feet, we're automatically also grounding. We can take that further and imagine roots growing. I'm going to keep it very, very simple to just take the awareness to the feet. And then you take the awareness to the hands. Can you, like, what can you feel in your hands? The aliveness in your hands. And by doing those two simple things, immediately the awareness is in the body. And again, it creates a feeling of safety because it's settling. It's like bringing your consciousness back into yourself. So yeah, that's second technique, very doable. And also, so how you could say this to children or teenagers is simply like if they're upset about something in the moment, I mean, something like calm down is not going to work anyway. That's going to have the opposite effect. But to just simply say, can you feel your feet on the ground? And immediately that takes the awareness to their feet. And then once they've focused on that, can you feel your hands? Like what do you feel inside your hands? And this can work even with quite young children.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's really simple as well and very effective. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And where our attention goes, that also it our awareness goes and it helps settle the nervous system.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Now I'm really excited to hear about the third one. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So the third one is it's essentially naming and allowing our emotions, our feelings. So it's name and allow if you want to name it something. But often, so just taking this back a moment, feelings and emotions have often been labeled like this is good and this is bad, and you can't have this, and this is not allowed. And that creates a lot of problems for people later. And it's so important to allow and welcome all of our emotions and not to label them, this one's bad. What we feel is what we feel. And all of our emotions should be welcomed and allowed to be felt. And often by just allowing it softens it. By naming it and allowing it, we are softening it and allowing the body to settle. And then to actually really feel that emotion and it allows it to pass much more quickly. Whereas if we're denying it and resisting, where there's resistance, that builds that emotion up, and then we stop that emotion, block it. Oh, that's not allowed. I'm not allowed to feel that. Block it, move on. And what happens is that it does two things. It's creating resentments, it's creating frustrations and problems that we don't really understand in the moment, but also physically, it can create physical illness,
Mm.
really, because those emotions become trapped in the body and they become trapped in our cells and they influence the way those cells operate. So it's so, so important for so many reasons. So naming the emotion, like, I feel frustrated, I feel sad, I feel angry, and it's okay. So it's allowing that emotion to be there and then letting that pass through and be felt and not shaming any emotion or shaming the person for having the emotion. And just to add a nuance here, it's also important to say, I feel sad, not I am sad.
Mm.
Because if I am sad, then sad is who I am. It's my identity. Whereas that's not my identity. That's just an emotion that I'm feeling in this present moment. So I am feeling sad, or sadness is within me, or I'm allowing sadness to pass through me. Or right now I am feeling sad. Those all allow a little bit of distance, like a gap between myself and the sad. So the sad is allowed to be there and I'm feeling it, but I'm not identifying it as who I am. So that's just an extra layer there. But yeah, the name and allow is again so, so important and quite simple. And it can, it's easy to bring that about. Like with a smaller child, especially, like, how are you feeling? With a teenager, it can be a bit more difficult because like to ask that, or it can be even not encouraged to ask that actually, because now you're impinging on, like, they don't have to share if that doesn't feel right for them in that moment, and that's also okay. So it's more a case of modeling that and
Mm.
saying, like, at this moment I'm feeling sad, it's okay, and I'm just allowing it to pass through, and kind of asking for that moment and that time, because then you're modeling that for them, that they know that's okay for them to do too, rather than trying to kind of interrogate them about how they're feeling. So does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I find that like giving them a way to express that feeling without like a healthy creative way, like whether it's art or music or drawing, like that helps teenagers a lot. Instead of like directly, as you were saying, like
Yeah,
directly impinging on that, giving them a side.
an
Uh,
outlet.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And then also that's flowing with creativity.
Hmm.
It's tapping,
Yeah.
that's very much tapping into the body and the wisdom of the body. And it's allowing that emotion to move. Because when there's movement, things are released. So that's beautiful. You're moving, it's moving through them by way of the art and the outlet. And it's a way of, such a powerful way of expression. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, the third technique of naming the emotion, and like it gives you also power that you're not, you are something greater than this feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is just a temporary feeling which is moving through me and it's allowed.
Mm,
And
mm,
it doesn't make anything bad or wrong. And it doesn't make me that emotion.
mhm.
So it's a subtle but powerful reframe. So yeah, and also just to this isn't about the third one, I'm zooming out, is with all of these is also not to feel like now I've got to remember all these things and I've got to do all three of them. Just do what feels right in the moment. And there, really simple tools to draw on. If you can't remember all three of them, or if things fall in that moment, all of that is okay. It's called life. So, and just to recap them, it's simply taking a breath, a deep breath with a longer exhale than your inhale, and ideally 3 to 5 times. The second one is putting your awareness into your body. So it'll simply be, can you feel your feet on the ground? Bringing your awareness into the feet and then bringing your awareness into the hands. And the third one is naming and allowing our emotions and then letting them pass through and putting that slight gap. I feel sad.
Mm.
I feel angry. Yeah. So
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to ask about the three techniques specifically, or?
They're wonderful. Wonderful three techniques. So easy to apply and to remember. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
don't come in a bottle, they don't cost money. We
Mm,
have all of these things within us.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing this. Yeah.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
yeah. And I know you have a gift to share with our audience. Would you like to share more about it now and how they can? Uh, yeah.
Sure. It's called the resonance reset. And what I've found through, I work with women mostly, and through working with the women, I found that often there's a predominant energetic pattern that we're stuck in that's hard to recognize because it just is who we are and we've done it for so long. And so the resonant reset basically breaks down the four major patterns, and so that you can identify your own resonance pattern and then your number one energetic block. Like what kind of energetic block could be holding you back? And then there's a technique to clear it in 60 seconds.
Mhm.
So, and it's also not now that's never going to come back. It's a work in progress, but it's first putting the awareness on that, which is the first thing to shift something, is to become aware of it. And then you can actually shift a lot of that within those 60 seconds. And if it comes back at a future time, you do it again. And I've also got for each one going slightly deeper, like an extra layer to it that you can also add on. So I think it's a really helpful tool to enable us to align that alignment I was speaking about in the beginning with the subconscious blocks. It's shining a light on one of them, and also helping us become more aware of what's happening in the body.
Yeah.
So it combines embodiment. Yeah, that's it. And I'm
Yeah.
sure there'll be a link below somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I will add the link to get that gift below this recording. Thank you so much.
You're
What's
welcome.
one last thing you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Hmm. I think it's to go outside,
Mm.
even if it's your back garden, or if you don't have a garden, a park or a public space, or just reconnect with grass, trees, be outside, and ideally barefoot to ground. There's these simple, simple tools, and we're not using them when we're busy, but and and it can be quite tricky with teenagers who maybe aren't going to places with us so much anymore. But if they can get outside and we can get outside and ground and just stand on the earth, it helps so much. It really, it's huge. It sounds so simple again, it's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jenny. Yeah.
You're very,
And
very welcome, Nadine, and thank you for inviting me.
yeah. And thank you all.